almost knocked me off there with that song. I managed to regain myself and regain my center. So thank you so much, everybody, especially to the leadership for inviting me to speak here on Mother's Day. I am delighted to share what came through for me to share with you. So first of all, happy Mother's Day. Who are all the physical mothers who are here in this room? I invite you to put up your hand. Yay! Okay, beautiful. And first of all, a little history lesson. Do you know where Mother's Day came from? Who was the person who initiated it? Anybody know? Interesting. It was a mother. Because we have to do everything, don't we? We even have to create our own day. So all of what we do for the world are, of course, our most important thing we do for the world is to bring in new souls. Because if we didn't do that job, this would all end pretty quickly, right? So the woman who created it, her name was Julia Howe, and she actually started it as a peace movement. So I want to read what she wrote to start the first Mother's Day. She says, "Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts. Whether your baptism be of water or of tears, say firmly, we will not have questions answered by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage, for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the voice of a devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace. Each bearing after his own time the sacred impress not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a general congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient at the earliest period consistent with its objects to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, and the great and general interests of peace." You know when that was written?
Right after World War I?
No, 1870. 1870. Isn't that interesting that Mother's Day was created as a day for women to come together to work on peace for the world? And that is because we as women, we as mothers, are connected to spirit in a way, in a very, very special way, because we are bringing this through our bodies. We are bringing, literally, we connect to the divine and bring new souls in through our bodies. This amazing body technology that we have as women, right? So, yeah. Oh, and there's another really interesting biological little fact that I discovered, which is when we have our babies in our womb, some of the baby cells leave out and go up into the mother's brain. So we are always physically connected to our children. Right? How cool is that? How beautiful is that? How, I won't swear, friggin' challenging is that? It's Sunday morning, it's Mother's Day. I'll keep it nice. So there are times. As you know, if everyone who's had children, I have to say for myself, it was the most exquisite and challenging and joyful and frustrating and changed me in a way forever that nothing else could. Yeah. Can the moms relate to that? Yeah. It changes our whole perspective of not only our lives, but all life, right? Including the natural world, including Gaia. And I think that's what Julia really connected with, right? This desire of the moms to let's find a way to resolve our conflicts that doesn't include violence and murder. Surely there's got to be a way, right? So, okay. So what I said in my talk actually was that I was going to talk about the manifestation creation process from the feminine perspective. So we live in a world that is very masculine dominant, right? The way we conduct ourselves, the way our systems work, it's all very heavily weighted towards the masculine. And let's just get a few things clear at the beginning. So there are two biological technologies on this earth. One is feminine, one is masculine, and they are very different. There are hundreds of thousands of big and small differences between the technology that we embody. There's also energies of the masculine and the feminine, and everyone embodies different levels of these masculine and feminine energies. We all have different gifts and different ways of expressing it. But women naturally embody and express the feminine energies differently than men. And men naturally express the masculine energies different than women. And part of coming into wholeness for each of ourselves is that divine marriage within of the masculine and feminine, and how that then we express that into the world. That make sense? Yes. Everybody cool with that? If you're not, that's okay. Just do whatever you want to do. It's okay. This is my this is my understanding of the world. So that is one. I'm not saying that this is necessarily true or the way it is, but this is my understanding of the world. So if it brings you some clarity for yourself, awesome. And if not, then that's okay. Just let it go. Say that's that crazy mom up there who's talking. So one of the big differences is the way in which men and women create. And as I was thinking about this, I thought, how is this different? And let me just give you the example that came to my mind. So with women, the best example of how we create is exactly how we create a baby. So we all know the beginning part, but once that's done and the fetus is in the womb, what do? Do we make a plan? Do we make a schedule? Do we plan, well, this is the arm's going to go now, and now we're going to do the leg, and now we're going to do this? No. We create the environment to allow the baby to grow as it needs to grow. Right? So that's the feminine way of creation. The masculine way of creation is much more with a plan. It's linear. It's got specific steps and goals, right? So if we were wanting to create an airplane, which of those two systems do you think would work better? Creating the environment and allowing the airplane to appear? Or, in the masculine way, having a plan, having people, having systems, taking action. Yes, yes, exactly. And there is action in the feminine because we're creating the environment, but the action is different. It's not necessarily direct action. It's more of the allowing, receiving, knowing, being connected to the field, and knowing what is needed. So the feminine creation is more about things related to life. So creating relationships, creating community, creating life purpose, creating qualities of being. You want to create more patience in yourself. You don't make a plan and set a goal and have a timeline for that, right? That's the feminine creation. So, how would you like to hear an example of how this has happened in my life over the last 3 years? The other thing I'll say is the masculine way is very cool, but the feminine way is awesome. And it's partly awesome because of this connection that we have to the unknown, to the invisible realm. Right? The masculine is very grounded in the physical, and the feminine is the part that is in the invisible world. So the example that I'm going to talk about is something that started 3 years ago, and it started with an intuitive thought. I happened to be in Glastonbury. Anybody been to Glastonbury before? It's a very, very, really? Oh, okay. If you're ever in the UK and you have the chance to go to Glastonbury, I highly recommend it. It's a very spiritual little place. It's got a lot of history and it's very interesting. Anyway, there's a little place there called the Goddess Temple. And the Goddess Temple was open. Anybody can go up and sit and just meditate. And it was this beautiful space in the middle of Glastonbury. And as I was sitting there, I had this thought come in that said, you could create this in Calgary. And I thought, I don't know where that came from, but okay. Well, that's kind of interesting. I could create this in Calgary. And the thought left. And that was sort of the end of that. So I'm going to talk about the principles of this as I continue sharing this example. So about 8 months later, out of the blue, I had a series of 3 dreams in a row where I was guided to create a healing center, goddess temple in Calgary. And there were some very specific things that were included in it. One was, I could see that it was near this running water. And I was shown this very specific shape of the room that it would be held in. So instantly, the next morning, of course, I'm, thinking, okay, well, this has to happen now. Like, this is it. So I went down to East Village, and I was looking around at all the places trying to find this place that I had seen in my dreams. And I came back and I'm like, no, I didn't, I can see it, I can feel it, I kind of get it, but I don't really know what this is, right? And so I just allowed myself to just sit with it. So one of the things about feminine manifestation is don't try to figure it out. It is not an intellectual process. The big difference is that we have to allow and receive. And very much like creating a baby, we need to create the environment for us to allow that allowing and receiving to happen, right? Can't make it happen. So then it's just sort of just sitting in the back of my brain, because I'm like, okay, I know this is something I'm supposed to do, so I'm just kind of paying attention all the time to things that happen. And if you were here a number of years ago when Tina was bringing eggs from the farm, I loved those eggs, and I was very sad when they were going out of business, but I thought, well, maybe it's the farm. Maybe I can go out there and see the farm, and maybe I'm supposed to buy the farm and create this healing center there. So I went out and I was looking around, and I'm like, no, this isn't it. Like, this is not it. But I was sharing with one of the women what my vision was and what I was trying to create. This is another really important part of the manifestation for the feminine, is sharing the information with other people, right? Because there's so many connections and pieces of the puzzle that we all have. So then it was about a little bit after that, and I thought, I don't know that I can do this on my own. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I kind of got this dream. It was so clear. I don't really know. So then I thought, well, who said I had to do it by myself? So then I was guided to gather a group of women together to sit down and say, okay, so what do you get out of this? What do you think of this? And we started meeting, I don't know, once every month or so, and bringing greater clarity as to what it was that we wanted to create. And we decided in the end that it was going to be something called the Sanctuary of the Feminine. So it'd be a place for women to go out in nature to just be and rest and reconnect themselves to the great Mother Earth, right? Because in our busy world here in the city, it can be very difficult to do that. So there's so many parts of this. I have to look at my notes of how this all unfolded. So then, about 8 months after that woman that I told on the farm what it was that I was wanting to create called me, and she said, hey, I've got this piece of land that I'm working with these people on, and I think you might want to come and see it. So I just happened to mention it to a friend, and when I mentioned it to her, she said, oh, can I come too? I said, sure, we'll go together. So we go out to this piece of land. Again, it was very interesting. It's not that they wanted to sell it, but there might have been some opportunity to collaborate. There was no running water. It just, again, it was this feeling inside that, no, this wasn't quite right, but maybe it was, maybe it was part of the process, but I couldn't really see how at that moment. So this friend of mine is very connected to the spiritual world. And so a week later, she said, there's something about that land for us. Why don't you come over to my house and we'll channel together? And I'm like, what? Like, okay, sure, why not? So I go over and she hands me a piece of paper, and I'm like, well, I need something to write on. So she grabs a book off the bookshelf and she hands me the piece of paper. And she says, okay, you're going to ask the questions, and then we're going to write down all the answers. And I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. I have no idea, but okay, what the heck? So we're writing down, and then at the end, we're going to compare our answers and just see what happens. So at the bottom of my first page, I write, I don't remember writing this, but I wrote next steps, and I wrote a symbol. It was a triangle with a circle in it. And then we flipped over the paper and we kept going. And then when we were comparing, I said, oh, I wrote down next steps. Did you write that? And she said, no, I didn't write that. And I'm like, huh. And then all of a sudden I got curious about this book that I was writing on. And I opened up the book to the page with the symbol that I had drawn. And I'm like, whoa, this is super cool. Look at this, right? And then she said, oh my God, the painting. what do you mean, the painting? She goes, oh, hang on a sec. And she goes away and she comes back with this ginormous painting of a triangle with a circle in the middle. She said, this painting is for my sister-in-law, but I think it's actually probably for you. What? What are you talking about? So she said, let me talk to my sister-in-law and I'll get back to you. So she did. She got back to me and she said, no, she agrees. This painting has definitely got to be for you, right? Like how this unfolded, like this is wild. So I contacted the artist and purchased the painting, and I put it up in my office at home. And this painting has a lot of energy, and I could feel it like coming out. It's like, okay, you need to clean up your office. You need to get these things straight. It's like, okay. So I did. And then I started feeling like this land, this place, there was something about it was coming together. It was coming, but I couldn't yet see it. But I was guided to take one action in particular, which was I started making all my women's circles that I was doing as donations to the Sanctuary of the Feminine. So in Anthony's beautiful song about 99 steps, this is like that action where I knew it was coming, it wasn't here yet, and yet this was my one step towards that. And when we take one step towards the divine, towards our vision, then the 99 steps come from Spirit. Okay, there's a few more interesting parts of this, but I'm going to cut to the chase. About 6 months after that, in the middle of, as I was raising the money for the Sanctuary of the Feminine, I had this intuitive hit to go and look and see what land was for sale. And I saw this piece of land and I'm thinking, well, the cabin's too small and it's not really, but there's something about it. So let's go see it. So we went and looked at the land, and as soon as I got to the land, I had this like huge yes in my body, like no question, like that this was the land of what it was supposed to be, right? And I'm like, holy cow. So I said to my husband, 1 second. Yes, I said to my husband, he's like, what are we, like, it's kind of like humoring me up to this point when I said, okay, no, this is it, right? This, however we have to figure this out, this is it. This is it. So we put in the offer, and as we were getting all the information, so this piece of land, by the way, is just south of Water Valley, north of Cochrane. So it's very beautiful. Some of the things I wanted to have is I wanted it to be 1 hour, so it wasn't too far away from the city. I wanted it to be private, so that we didn't have all that road noise and construction. And I wanted it to have the water. And as I said, there was this last piece that was from my dream that was a particular shape. So if you've seen land out in Alberta, what shape is it? Square. It's square. It's rectangles, right? Rectangles, rectangles, rectangles. We got the real property report, and I looked at it and went, oh my God. It's a triangle. And where the two buildings are is in a circle in the center. And at the bottom of the property, there's a creek running through it. And Katie can verify this because I was on the phone live with her when I went up to the barn, the upstairs room. I opened the door and I said, oh my God, the room is the exact shape that I saw in my dream. Yeah, the ceiling. Yeah, the way the ceiling went. So the principles the principles of feminine creation. Number one is to be open and receptive to the vision. Number two is to allow divine timing, to remember that it is like building a baby. We don't decide how to do it. We are guided and led. We women in particular are connected to the field, right? That's part of the gift that we bring to the earth. To have faith and trust, to take action, even if the action doesn't make any sense. That's the best part of feminine creation. It is so illogical. It makes no sense whatsoever. And as long as you surrender to that and know that that's okay, as long as you get that yes intuitively, right? There's never any fear about it. We have to listen. We have to listen deeply because the messages come small. Now, apparently, as you can tell by the symbol that kept arriving, apparently I needed really clear guidance that this is a yes, and this is a yes, and this is a yes, and these are all connected. So, that is my incredible, mysterious example of how feminine creation works. We did buy the property, and I'm in the process of now looking at how to, the place where the sanctuary of the feminine is going to be in this barn. By the way, this barn never had an animal in it. It is brand new, and so it's a matter of putting in insulation and walls, and so it's just got sort of like the outside. So that is the process of where I am with that creation. And I just want to sort of circle back to this idea of motherhood, because although we do birth people and souls into this world, we also birth ideas and projects. And when men and women actually collaborate together, it's an incredibly powerful team because we get the best of both, right? The wisdom of the masculine, the wisdom of the feminine. And as those two combine, that's how we're going to change the world. So whatever, and I will just put a plug in for moms here. Whatever your relationship is with your mom, know that no matter what, she did the best she could. And that best might not have been good enough for what you needed. And if that's the case, I invite you just to hold that love in your heart and know that you changed her life forever in ways you can't imagine. All right, so how about we do a meditation? Take this into our bodies.
We're just waiting for mission control here.
Mission control?
Yeah. Silent for a second. Oh, Mother Divine, your love creates all new life. Flow through me and everything. Oh, heal me, Mother Divine. Oh, Mother Divine, your love creates all new life.
flow through me and everything. Oh, heal me, Mother Divine. Oh, Mother Divine, your love creates all new life. You flow through me and everything. Oh, heal me, Mother Divine. Oh, heal me, Mother Divine. Oh, heal me, Mother Divine.
And I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it go. And taking another nice deep breath in and letting it go. And as you let it go, taking your awareness to your heart and just noticing in this moment, how is your beautiful heart feeling? Is it feeling joy and happy? Is it feeling a little bit of sadness, tenderness? Perhaps it's a little disappointed on this day. And no matter what your heart is feeling in this moment, I want you to know that as you put your attention on it, imagine that you are opening a portal to the universal love that exists all around us. And that as you do, waves of that universal love begin to come into your heart. And your heart then begins to magnify and amplify these waves. And these waves begin to move through all the cells of your body. Feeling this loving, nurturing energy that you can create and you have access to at all times. And from this beautiful place of expanded love and nurturing, imagining that you have energetic roots growing from the soles of your feet down into Mother Earth, connecting to her beautiful, divine, feminine energy. And now moving up to the top of your head, opening up your crown chakra, allowing the beautiful masculine energy of the universe to begin to pour down, coming in the back of your head, the back of your shoulders, the back of your hips, the back of your legs. This masculine energy creating this beautiful container for you to sit in. Imagining yourself resting back, taking a deep breath, and giving thanks to you for all of the love that you bring to the world, for all the magic that you bring to the world, for all the peace that you bring to the world. Honoring that divine feminine energy that exists in all of us. It's what we feel, what we sense, and what we know. And on your next breath in, allowing this loop to close, knowing that you can reconnect at any moment that you wish. Bringing your awareness once again to this room, to the chair that you're sitting in, your feet on the floor.